The wound that shouldn't exist. The great throne hall of the alien empire was filled with silence. Tall marble pillars reached high into the ceiling, glowing with strange blue fire. Hundreds of alien nobles stood around the chamber, their silver eyes watching the doors. Everyone expected to see a broken, defeated human dragged inside. Instead, the doors opened, and a single soldier walked in, bleeding, but still alive. His armor was torn, his steps were heavy, his chest rose and fell with deep breaths, but his legs never gave up. A long cut stretched across his side, glowing faintly with a strange light. Every alien present knew what that injury meant. It was the mark of a weapon that no being could survive. Gasps filled the room. One noble whispered, "Impossible! That wound kills in minutes." Another hissed, "No human body should endure this." Yet the soldier kept walking, his boots striking against the floor with steady rhythm. At the far end of the hall, on her black throne of stone and crystal, sat the alien queen. Her golden crown shone against her silver hair, but her eyes were locked on the soldier. For the first time in her long reign, those eyes widened, not in anger, but in shock. The soldier stopped in the center of the chamber. Blood dripped from his side, leaving a trail on the floor, yet he stood tall, his chin raised. His voice was calm, though weak from pain. "You wanted proof of what humans are," he said, his words echoing. "Here I am." The aliens murmured. Some stepped back in fear. Others leaned closer, unable to believe. They had seen countless warriors fall from that very wound, their bodies burning inside out. Yet this human still breathed. The queen raised one hand, silencing the hall. Her voice was smooth, but there was a tremor hidden beneath it. "No one survives such an injury," she whispered. "Not even my strongest generals. What are you, human?" The soldier's lips curved into a faint smile, though pain burned in his eyes. "I am only what my world made me." He swayed slightly, and two guards moved forward, but he raised his hand to stop them. "Don't touch me. I don't need your pity. I came here on my own feet, and I'll leave the same way." The queen studied him carefully. His blood was darker than alien blood, thicker, and it steamed slightly on the floor. It was not natural, not weak, not fragile. Something about it frightened her. One noble shouted, "This is a trick. No human could last more than seconds." But another replied, "And yet he stands. Look at him." The tension grew heavy in the hall. Whispers turned into arguments, fear mixing with awe. The soldier's presence was breaking everything they believed about humans, that they were fragile, soft, and easy to crush. The queen leaned forward, her eyes still fixed on the glowing wound. Her voice dropped low, almost a whisper meant only for herself. "This shouldn't exist. No human should survive this." The soldier chuckled softly, though blood slipped from the corner of his mouth. "Then perhaps your galaxy has never truly seen humans before." The chamber froze. Even the guards who held their weapons ready did not move. The silence was thick, broken only by the faint drip of blood on the floor. The queen's advisors leaned close, whispering warnings. "He's dangerous. If one can survive this, what can the others endure?" Another hissed, "We should end him now before his kind becomes a threat." But the queen lifted her hand again. "No, not yet. This must be understood." Her eyes narrowed. She wanted to test him, to know the truth behind his survival. If humans were truly this strong, then the entire balance of the galaxy was about to change. The soldier met her gaze. His body trembled, but his spirit burned bright. He did not low. "Okay, like a man close to death." He looked like a man challenging the entire hall with nothing but his will. The chamber froze. Even the guards who held their weapons ready did not move. The silence was thick, broken only by the faint drip of blood on the floor. The queen's advisors leaned close, whispering warnings. "He's dangerous. If one can survive this, what can the others endure?" Another hissed, "We should end him now before his kind becomes a threat." But the queen lifted her hand again. "No, not yet. This must be understood. Her eyes narrowed. She wanted to test him, to know the truth behind his survival. If humans were truly this strong, then the entire balance of the galaxy was about to change. The soldier met her gaze. His body trembled, but his spirit burned bright. He did not look like a man close to death. He looked like a man challenging the entire hall with nothing but his will. And for the first time, the alien queen felt something she had not felt in centuries, fear mixed with respect. She rose slowly from her throne. The nobles gasped. Their queen never stood for anyone, but now she stepped down from her throne, her long cloak trailing behind her. Each step echoed in the silence, until she stood only a few feet from the wounded soldier. Her silver eyes studied him. She could feel the heat from his wound, smell the strange iron of his blood. She whispered, so only he could hear. "You should be dead. Why are you still standing?" The soldier looked at her, his face pale but his smile steady. His answer came like thunder in the silence. "Because I am human." The chamber erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted, guards raised weapons, and the queen herself froze, her mind racing. The wound that should not exist had just become the symbol of something far greater. Whispers of the impossible. The throne hall had not known such noise in centuries. Nobles shouted over one another, their voices sharp, filled with fear and disbelief. Some demanded the and's death. Others whispered of omens, ancient prophecies, and forgotten legends. But the human stood silent in the middle of the storm. Blood still ran from his side, glowing faintly against his broken armor. His chest rose and fell heavily, yet his eyes never dropped. He was not begging for mercy. He was daring them to act. The queen lifted her hand once more, and silence fell like a blade. She did not sit back on her throne. Instead, she remained standing, her long cloak trailing across the marble floor. Her voice cut through the air. "Enough! He is still alive before your eyes. Deny what you wish, but the truth stands." One advisor, his scales shining under the firelight, hissed in anger. "Your Majesty, this is not survival. It is witchcraft. Humans are weak creatures of flesh. This is not natural." The queen's gaze shifted, sharp as a blade. "If weakness looks like this, then perhaps strength has a new meaning." The hall froze. Her words carried weight. The soldier's lips curved in a faint smile, but he did not speak. Instead, it was another voice, soft and trembling, that filled the silence. A young alien healer stepped forward from the edge of the hall. Her hands shook as she bowed low before the queen. "My queen," she whispered, "I studied that wound in our texts. No creature survives it. The poison alone burns through the heart in minutes, yet his body fights it. His blood resists it. It is not trickery, it is truth." Murmurs spread like fire. The queen's eyes narrowed. She leaned closer to the healer. "And what does that truth mean?" The healer swallowed hard. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "It means, Majesty, that humans are not fragile. They are something the galaxy has never seen before." A chill ran through the nobles. Some stepped back as if the soldier might explode into fire. Others stared with wide eyes, their minds racing. If a single human could survive the impossible, what would an army of them mean? The queen turned her gaze back to the soldier. His pale face glistened with sweat, but his eyes burned steady. He was a man on the edge of death, yet stronger than warriors untouched. "Tell me, human," the queen said slowly. "How do you endure what no other can? What secret lies in your kind?" The soldier finally spoke. His voice was low, but it carried to every corner of the hall. "There is no secret. My world teaches us pain from birth. The storms cut us. The beasts hunt us. The land itself tries to kill us. To live as human is to fight every single day. This wound?" He touched his side, blood dripping from his fingers. "It is nothing compared to home." The hall went silent again. The nobles stared, their faces pale, their confidence shaken. They had thought Earth a weak world, an easy planet of simple prey. Now they saw it differently, a place that forged monsters in human skin. The Queen's eyes widened, but this time not in fear, in realization. She whispered almost to herself, "A death world." The word sent shivers through the chamber. Everyone knew of death worlds, planets so cruel that no civilization ever rose from them, worlds of storms, poisons, and endless predators. To hear that humans came from such a place shook the foundations of the empire. One noble shouted in denial, "Lies. If this is true, then humans should not exist at all." The soldier's gaze shifted to him, cold and sharp. "And yet, here I am." The noble fell silent, his words dying in his throat. The Queen felt something stirring in her chest, something rare. Doubt. If even one human could endure this, then humanity was no prey. It was a force the galaxy had never prepared for. She took a slow step closer to the soldier. Her cloak whispered across the floor, her silver eyes glowing under the torchlight. "If what you say is true, then the galaxy has lived blind, and if it is false—" She raised her chin, her voice turning hard. "Then you are a dangerous liar." The soldier's smile widened despite the blood on his lips. "Test me then. Test humanity. You will see the truth." Gasps rose in the chamber. No one had ever dared to challenge the Queen so directly, yet the human did it without fear. For a long moment, silence ruled again. Then the Queen gave a single nod. "So be it," she said. Her voice carried finality. "You will face the ancient trial. If you live, the truth is yours. If you die, then humanity dies with you." The hall erupted once more. Nobles shouted warnings. Guards gripped their weapons. But the soldier did not flinch. He bowed his head slightly, as though the trial was nothing more than another sunrise. The Queen stared at him, her heart heavy with an emotion she could not name. Fear? Curiosity? Perhaps both. But deep within her, one thought refused to fade. If this human survives, then the galaxy is no longer the same. The test of truth. The decision spread through the alien capital like fire in dry grass. The Queen had spoken. The human would face the ancient trial. The ancient trial was no ordinary test. It was not designed for honor or ceremony. It was created centuries ago to break rebels, traitors, and enemies who threatened the empire. No warrior had ever survived its chambers. Not even the Queen's fiercest generals had lasted an hour inside. And now, a bleeding human would enter it. The throne hall emptied, but whispers filled every street, every tower, every shadow of the empire's shining city. The human walks into death. The Queen will see the truth. If he survives. No one dared finish that sentence. The chamber of the ancient trial lay deep underground. The walls were black stone, carved with runes older than the empire itself. Fires burned with green flames, casting strange shadows. Heavy iron doors waited, carved with images of beasts, storms, and lightning. The human soldier stood before them. His wound still bled, though he had wrapped it in torn cloth. Guards surrounded him, but they did not mock him. For the first time, even they felt uneasy. The Queen arrived, her cloak flowing behind her. Nobles and generals gathered on the high balcony above, ready to witness. Her voice was steady, though her heart pounded. "You asked for proof," she said. "Here it is. Survive, and your words will shake the stars. Fail, and humanity dies with you." The soldier looked up at her. His face was pale, but his smile had not faded. "Then watch closely, Queen. Watch what a human can endure." The doors groaned open. A blast of hot air rushed out, carrying the stench of fire and blood. The trial had begun. Inside, the chamber shifted like a living creature. The floor trembled under his boots. Walls of spikes shot out suddenly, forcing him to move with lightning speed. Poison gas leaked from cracks, burning his lungs. The soldier coughed, his vision swimming, but he pushed forward. His wound screamed in pain, yet his legs carried him. Above, the nobles leaned over the balcony. Some laughed nervously. Others gripped the railing, unable to look away. "He will die in minutes," one whispered. "No creature can survive this," another added. But the queen said nothing. Her silver eyes never left the human. Flames erupted from hidden vents, filling the chamber with fire. The soldier shielded his face with his arms, his skin burning, but he did not scream. He rolled through the flames, pushing forward into the smoke. Next came the beasts, creatures bred only for this trial, scaled bodies, long claws, and jaws filled with razor teeth. They circled him, hissing. The soldier's hand tightened around a broken metal spear he had pulled from the wall. He did not retreat. He stepped forward. The first beast lunged. In one motion the spear pierced its throat. Hot blood sprayed across the stone. The others attacked, but the human moved with brutal precision, each strike fueled not by strength alone, but by a lifetime of survival. On Earth, every day was a trial. Here it was no different. Above, the nobles gasped. "Impossible. He fights like he was born in this chamber. This cannot be real." The queen's lips parted, but no words came. She felt her chest tighten as she watched. Minutes stretched into an hour. The chamber shifted again, flooding with water. The human, exhausted, waded through, dragging himself forward. His wound tore wider, blood clouding the water, but still he swam. He reached the far wall where the last test waited. A storm of lightning filled the chamber, bolts striking down again and again. The air itself shook. The soldier staggered, raising his hands as if daring the storm. Bolts struck him, his body jerking violently. Yet through the pain, he laughed, a hoarse, broken laugh that echoed through the chamber. Above, the queen rose to her feet, her eyes wide. The soldier's voice carried even through the thunder. "This is nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing. On Earth, storms like this rage every day." With one last scream, he pushed forward, his body burning, until he collapsed at the final gate. The doors opened. The chamber fell silent. The nobles stood frozen. No one spoke. No one even breathed. The human dragged himself out, his body broken, burned, and bleeding. Yet his eyes, those burning human eyes, still glared with life. He looked up at the queen, his voice a whisper but sharp as steel. "You wanted truth, queen. Here it is. Humanity does not fall. Not to your trial, not to your empire, not to anything." The hall erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted, some in terror, some in awe. Generals whispered that the galaxy itself was in danger. But the queen said nothing. Her eyes were wide, her heart racing. For in that moment, she understood. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. And now, it might be too late. The revelation. The human lay on the stone floor outside the trial chamber, smoke still rising from his burned armor. His chest heaved with heavy breaths, blood pooling beneath him, but his eyes were alive, and burning with a fire that no alien in the chamber could match. The nobles stared in disbelief. Some had covered their mouths, others gripped the balcony rails with trembling hands. For centuries, the ancient trial had ended the same way, silence, ashes, and death. But now, for the first time, a survivor stood before them, a human. The queen stepped forward slowly, her silver eyes locked on him. Her cloak trailed behind her like a shadow. Each step echoed in the silent hall. When she reached him, she stopped, studying the broken figure on the floor. "You should be dead," she whispered, her voice softer than the crowd expected. "Not even my strongest generals lived through this." The soldier coughed, blood staining his lips, but his smile did not fade. "That is because your generals never lived on Earth." The word, Earth, hung in the air like a curse. The nobles muttered to one another, confused, fearful. The queen narrowed her eyes. "Explain." The soldier pushed himself up with trembling arms. He sat on the floor, his body broken, but his spirit unbroken. He raised his voice, not just to the queen, but to everyone in the chamber. "You think this trial is hard? You think fire, beasts, storms, and poison can end me? This is nothing compared to home." The chamber grew still. Every alien leaned closer to hear. "On Earth, the soldier continued, his voice sharp. Storms rage strong enough to crush mountains. Lightning falls from the sky every day. The air burns with heat, then freezes with cold. Our oceans are filled with monsters that would devour your strongest soldiers in seconds. The ground shakes, the sky twists, and every step of life is a fig. The nobles gasped. Some shook their heads in denial, but none dared interrupt. The soldier pressed his bloodied hand against the stone floor, forcing himself to stand. His legs shook, but he rose tall, taller than his pain. His voice thundered now. You call this a trial. We call this Tuesday. A ripple of shock swept through the chamber. The nobles erupted into panicked whispers. A death world. He speaks lies. No one could survive such a place. But deep inside, they knew. His survival had already proven his words. The queen stared at him, her mind racing. She had heard legends of death worlds, planets so cruel that no species had ever risen beyond savagery. Yet here was proof. Humans had not only risen, they had built civilizations, ships, weapons, and now stood in her hall, defying her trial. Her chest tightened. Fear or awe, perhaps both. One general stepped forward, his voice sharp. He lies. It is a story to frighten us. If his people came from such a place, they would be monsters. The soldier turned, his eyes locking on the general. His voice dropped to a deadly calm. And what do you think stands before you now? The general's words died. Silence crushed the hall. The queen's gaze did not waver. She studied the soldier as if trying to see into his soul. Why tell us this? Why reveal the truth of your world? The soldier's face hardened. Because your empire sees us as weak, as prey. You believe humans break easily. I wanted you to see what you truly face. We are not fragile. We are forged by the cruelest world in the stars. We are survivors, always. The queen's hand trembled slightly. She clenched her fingers around her cloak to hide it. In her long life, she had crushed rebellions, destroyed fleets, and bent empires to her will. But never had she felt this kind of fear from a single being. And yet, alongside the fear came something else, respect. Her voice lowered, almost as if she spoke to herself. A death world race, surviving, growing, reaching the stars. If this is true, then humanity is not just strong. They are the greatest danger the galaxy has ever known. The soldier's smile was cold. Not danger, not yet. But if your empire raises its hand against Earth, then you will learn what true danger means. The nobles recoiled. Some shouted, demanding his death. Others whispered that he spoke prophecy. But the queen raised her hand, silencing them all. Her heart pounded as her silver eyes burned into his. You should not exist, she whispered, her voice trembling with the weight of truth. No human should survive this. And yet you did, which means... She paused, the chamber waiting, every breath caught. The galaxy itself is not ready for you. The soldier said nothing. He only stood there, bloodied, broken, but undefeated, a living symbol of everything she feared. The queen felt the future shifting before her eyes. Her decision in the next moment would shape the fate of her empire, perhaps the fate of the stars themselves. The queen's decision. The throne hall trembled with chaos. Nobles shouted in panic, some demanding the human's execution, others urging caution. Generals argued that no species from a death world could be trusted. Advisors whispered of omens, of an empire built on lies now facing a truth too dangerous to ignore. But through all the voices, the alien queen stood silent. Her silver eyes never left the human soldier. He stood in the center of the chamber, blood dripping onto the marble floor. His body was broken, burned, cut, poisoned, and scarred. Yet he refused to kneel. His gaze burned like a storm, daring the galaxy itself to strike him down. The queen's heart pounded. For centuries she had ruled with absolute certainty. She crushed rebellions, bent star systems to her will, and never once doubted her empire's power. But this human shattered everything. She raised her hand, and the hall fell silent. Even the nobles who trembled in fear dared not speak against her command. "Enough," she said, her voice cold and sharp. "This chamber has seen the truth. A human has survived the trial that none of my people ever could. We cannot deny what stands before us." Her words struck like thunder. Some nobles gasped. Others shook their heads violently. One general stepped forward, his armored chest shining. "Majesty, with respect, this is madness. Humanity is a threat. If one soldier can survive this, imagine what an army could do. We must kill him now, before his kind spreads." The queen's gaze cut to him like a blade. "And if we kill him, will humanity forget? Or will they come with fire and vengeance? You think them weak, yet one wounded soldier stood against death itself. What happens when millions like him rise together?" The general froze. No answer came. The queen turned back to the human. She descended the steps of her throne, her cloak sweeping across the floor. The chamber held its breath as she stopped before him. For a long moment, the galaxy's fate hung in silence. "You," she whispered, her voice low but clear, "should not exist. You should not have lived. Yet you did. You are a shadow that defies reason." The soldier's lips curved into a faint smile. "Or maybe I am just the first shadow of the storm to come." Gasps filled the hall. Nobles recoiled. Some pressed against the walls, as if the words themselves were weapons. The queen studied him carefully. Her mind raced, fear, awe, curiosity, and something she had not felt in centuries: respect. Finally, she spoke. "I have two choices. I can kill you here and perhaps slow the coming storm, or—" She paused, her voice tightening. "I can bow to the truth and stand beside you before it arrives." The chamber erupted again, voices rising in shock. "Bow? The queen bow to a human? This is unthinkable. It is betrayal." Gasps filled the hall. Nobles recoiled. Some pressed against the walls as if the words themselves were weapons. The queen studied him carefully. Her mind raced, fear, awe, curiosity, and something she had not felt in centuries: respect. Finally, she spoke. "I have two choices. I can kill you here and perhaps slow the coming storm. Or," she paused, her voice tightening, "I can bow to the truth and stand beside you before it arrives." The chamber erupted again, voices rising in shock. "Bow? The queen bow to a human? This is unthinkable. It is betrayal." But the queen silenced them with a glare that burned like fire. She looked at the soldier once more. "Human, you said your kind are survivors, that your world forged you in storms and fire. If I stand against you, my empire may fall, but if I stand with you—" Her words trailed, heavy with meaning. The soldier's eyes met hers. His voice was soft but carried through the hall. "Then maybe your empire will survive the storm too." The silence that followed was heavy, unbreakable. Every noble, every general, every guard waited for the queen's final decision. Slowly, deliberately, she lowered her head, just enough to signal not weakness, but respect. The chamber gasped. The queen had bowed to no one in her reign, yet now she bowed to a bloodied, wounded human. "Then let it be known," she declared, her voice echoing through the hall. "The Empire does not fear humanity. The Empire stands with humanity." The nobles roared in protest, but their voices were drowned out by the weight of her words. The galaxy would never be the same. The soldier gave a small nod. His body swayed, his legs weak, but he refused to collapse. He had proven his point. Humanity had proven its point. The queen stepped back, her cloak flowing. Her eyes narrowed as a thought chilled her heart, for she knew this was only the beginning. If one human could change her throne hall, what would happen when the rest of Earth arrived?